project is on the sand dunes of Sand Hollow. We'll be talking about the national park, how it was formed, wildlife, and endangered species. First, just some general information about the park. The park was created in 2003 as a reservoir. The park is located near Hurricane, Utah. I've been there multiple times. It has great areas for cliff jumping, as well as boating, swimming, and fishing. Some of the animals in Sand Hollow include just wildlife, the great-tailed grackle, eared grebe, yellow-backed spiny lizard, and the red-breasted merganser. Just to name a few, this also happens to be the endangered species list, especially the western banded gecko. But just a few more of the endangered species, or more commonly, less known endangered species, are the virgin river chub, the woundfin, southern western willow flycatcher, and the speckled dace. Okay, process of creation number 1 is erosion. Erosion of nearby rocks, sandstone hills, and mountains, the geologic process in which earthen materials are worn away and transported by natural forces such as wind or water. Number 2, after erosion occurs, the material is loosened and moved through deposition. Deposition is the laying down of sediment carried by wind, floating water, the sea, or ice, not the sea for Sand Hollow. Sediment can be transported as pebbles, sand, or mud, salt is dissolved in water, and then may be deposited as organic activity or by evaporation. And number 3 is sedimentation. Sedimentation is the deposition of rock fragments, soil, organic matter, or dissolved material that has been eroded, that is, has been transported by water, wind, ice, or gravity, and then is cemented through calcium forming in between the sediments. Number 4, precipitation. Precipitation forms in the clouds when water vapor condenses into bigger and bigger droplets of water. When the drops become heavy enough, they fall to the earth. If a cloud is colder, like it would be at high altitudes, the water droplets may freeze and form ice. This is also a helpful process in erosion and deposition, and also helping form the lake nearby. Number 5 is weathering. Weathering is the deteriorations of rocks, soils, and minerals, as well as wood and artificial materials through contact with water, atmospheric gases, and biological organisms. An ancient culture of the Sand Hollow area is the Martz, mostly agricultural people who lived in western and eastern Utah, near Idaho, Nevada, and Colorado, named after the Fremont River by explorers and modern-day Indians, the Fremont glyph. Petroglyphs, which are etched drawings and paintings on rock surfaces. The Fremont people used plant and mineral dyes to apply color to the ancient rock art. Here are my sources. All right, so this is the creation of the Sand Hollow sand dunes. Dunes of Sand Hollow were created through weathering and erosion, making sand and all these other things. Mostly sand. And the sand dunes they're just a bunch of small sediments from other mountains and rocks, hills being destroyed through weathering and erosion. Weathering and erosion will take a rock like this one and, well, much larger. This is not to scale, obviously. I mean, like, if someone builds it to scale project, speak to me. Anyway, so this will be weathered, eroded, turned into sand soon, later. However, we can watch it erode if we want, but it's not gonna erode. So this hammer is now weathering and erosion. So, like weathering, like say there's a crack here, and the crack freezes, right? And boom, damage. It's gonna break it, right? Please break it. We're almost there. There we go. Eroded, broken down into a bunch of smaller sediments. And these sediments also create the hills and the mountains, like the sandstone hills There's sedimentation, and sedimentation from calcium in between the sediments themselves, and creating these larger structures. And all that gets carried away to the sand sand dunes. However, other things that weather and erode, just not water, there's wind. And there is not only wind, there's even small animals erode things, just not as greatly. Lots of things go into weathering and erosion, like a hammer. But after that, the sediments, they're in the dunes, right? How'd they get there? That's deposition. Deposition is the movement of these sediments from things like wind or things like water that move the sediments to other places. And then they're all gone, and they're down sand dunes down there, I guess. Yeah, that's my example. Cool.